Hey everybody, in this video I am going to be talking about sweet potato flour. If you have watched my grocery hauls for any length of time, you have probably seen me purchase sweet potato flour at our local Asian market, and I have gotten a lot of questions asking what I use it for and why in the world would I buy such a thing. And so I thought I would do a video just all about sweet potato flour, let you know what it is, why I use it, and then how I use it. So first off, to answer the question, what is it? It is basically a starch that is derived from sweet potatoes. It's very similar to arrowroot flour or arrowroot powder, arrowroot starch. Those are all interchangeable names. Sometimes it's labeled sweet potato starch, sometimes it's labeled sweet potato flour, but they're both basically the same thing. It is the starch that is extracted from the sweet potatoes, so it doesn't have fiber in it. It's similar to cornstarch or arrowroot starch or tapioca flour. Now, I also get asked why I use it in place of regular flour, because if you watch my grocery hauls, you will notice also that we are not grain-free or even gluten-free in our family. We do buy tortillas and even regular flour sometimes. So I get asked why it is that I would go to the trouble of using a sweet potato flour when regular flour is readily available and cheaper. And basically the answer to that is I personally try to stay gluten-free as much as possible. Celiac disease runs in my family, and I just don't feel well when I eat wheat as part of my regular diet. I will eat it here and there, like on a special occasion, but I try to keep it out of my regular diet. And because of that, I have experimented with non-wheat goodies for the family, just so that we can have things that we all eat together. We have all gone on grain-free and paleo challenges before, and my husband and my kids have not found that their life and their health is significantly improved by going completely gluten-free or grain-free. But since I've done that experimenting, and since I don't eat the gluten, it's nice to have things that we can all eat together as a family. And I found a few recipes and developed a few recipes that we all really love, even as much as the gluten counterparts. And it just gives the baked goods and different things a different taste and a different texture that you don't get with wheat flour. So some of the recipes we actually like even better than the wheat flour counterparts. And then one other reason that I feed my family sweet potato flour on a regular basis is just because I do think that a reduction of wheat in the standard American diet is probably a good idea. We tend in America to eat wheat with every single meal and snack, having French toast for breakfast, a sandwich for lunch, and rolls with dinner, that kind of thing. It's just really easy to overload on wheat. And I am of the belief that there's no nutrient in wheat that you can't get from other sources. So it's not like reducing the amount of wheat in our diet is going to make us deficient in something that's really important. And I also think that having a diet that is really varied in different types of food is a really great idea, good for gut health and getting all different kinds of nutrients. So when I can reduce the amount of wheat, not completely cut it out, but reduce it and replace it with something else to give us more of a varied diet, then I'm happy to be able to do that. Now to talk about how I use sweet potato flour. If you have watched my channel for a while, I'm sure you have seen recipes that I've posted using sweet potato flour. In my day in the life videos or my food prep videos, you will often see me using it. Even in my Instant Pot recipes, I use it a lot. So the main things that I use it for are waffles. I have a grain-free waffle recipe that my family absolutely loves. The kids, they just go crazy for these waffles. They even like them better than regular wheat waffles, if you can believe that. They're a little different than wheat waffles. They're chewier. They are crispy right out of the waffle iron, similar to a wheat waffle. And then when they're reheated, I usually do a huge batch, and we have them in the fridge, and the kids reheat them for breakfast. Then they're nice and chewy and soft if you reheat them, and they're just absolutely delicious, and everybody loves those. The other thing that we eat a lot is German pancakes. I'm sure you've seen me cook those on my food prep videos as well. And I actually did a test on my husband one time where I made some with regular wheat flour and made some with the sweet potato starch. And my husband actually preferred, in a blind taste test, the sweet potato flour German pancakes. And that is a recipe that if I make, my husband will eat every single breakfast. He absolutely loves German pancakes. They're his very favorite. The next thing that I love to do with sweet potato flour is breading chicken strips and chicken nuggets. The sweet potato flour that I buy, it's not a super fine flour like arrowroot powder is. It's a little bit granulated, and not all brands are like this. So if you're able to find this brand in particular, the Wu Sin brand, I recommend it for breading chicken strips. When it comes to baked goods, it doesn't make any difference. But when you're breading chicken strips and you have the little bit granulated of the flour, a lot more sticks to the chicken strips, and it just makes more hearty breading than with the fine powder. Also in my soups, if I want to have a creamy and thick soup, like a potato soup, or my creamy wild rice soup in the Instant Pot, I will add some sweet potato flour mixed with coconut milk. You could also do it with heavy cream or half and half, or even milk. And I do about a cup of coconut milk to about 2 to 3 tablespoons of the sweet potato flour. Whisk that up really good to make a slurry, and then put it in my finished soup after everything is finished cooking. I put the slurry into my soup, and it thickens it up really nicely and makes it really creamy. I do have several videos of soups using that method, and I will link those down below. And I will also link as many recipe videos up in the cards as well that I can for all of these different things that I'm talking about. So for making creamy and thick soups, I love to use the sweet potato flour. It's very similar to using regular wheat flour or cornstarch. If you use that for thickening soups, it's really the same idea, and you can use pretty much a 1-to-1 ratio of sweet potato flour replacing regular flour or cornstarch in your thickening soup recipes or even gravies. I also use sweet potato flour when I am making stir fries. In my stir fry sauce, I usually just throw together a stir fry sauce with soy sauce and fish sauce and some vinegar and spices, and then I will add a teaspoon or 2 of sweet potato flour to the sauce mixture, and I'll whisk it up. And then after my meat and my veggies are finished sauteing, right at the very end, I will pour my sauce into the pan, and the heat makes it thick really fast, and so it makes a really sticky, gooey sauce that coats all of the veggies and the meat really nicely, and the family absolutely loves that. Also, a similar idea is that I use the sweet potato flour to thicken up fruit toppings, especially for German pancakes and for waffles. I like to chop up either peaches or apples or pears or even berries. You can just saute them up in a little bit of butter until they're soft, add some cinnamon, add some sugar, and then do a slurry of the sweet potato flour, like a couple of teaspoons to a tablespoon of sweet potato flour with a little bit of cold water, whisk it up, and then right at the very end, pour that in your pan and bring it back to a boil, which should happen really fast, and it makes a nice gooey, sticky apple or sticky fruit, and the kids love it, and my husband loves it. It's a great topping for German pancakes or waffles or regular pancakes or cheesecakes from the Instant Pot, anything that you would use a fruit topping on. It's a fantastic method. So one other question that I get asked really often is if you can use the sweet potato flour 1-to-1 in recipes that call for wheat flour. And the answer to that is no, because it just works differently in recipes. And so you're going to want to look for recipes that were developed specifically using the sweet potato flour. I will say though that in baked goods, I have found that the sweet potato flour can be subbed 1-for-1 for arrowroot flour. So there are a lot of paleo recipes, grain-free recipes that call for arrowroot flour, and you can use sweet potato flour. In all the ones that I've tried, which has been quite a few, you can use sweet potato flour instead. It works very similarly, and you shouldn't have a problem. So like I said, I highly recommend the Wu Sin brand. We find it at our local Asian market, and it's $2.29 a pound. Recently it was $1.79 a pound, and the price just went up, which was a bummer, but it's still not that expensive compared to other grain-free flours on the market. I did do a search on Amazon for the Wu Sin brand of sweet potato flour, and I did find it on Amazon, but it's ridiculously expensive. I think it was like 3 pounds for $44 or something ridiculous like that. And at our Asian market, I can get 3 pounds for $7, something like that. So definitely check an Asian market around you if you have one. See if you can find it. And like I said, if you're able to find the Woosen brand, I highly recommend that one if you want to use it for breading chicken strips. But for all other uses, if you find a sweet potato starch or a sweet potato flour in a different brand, it should work for you just fine. I will put a picture up here on the screen of the nutrition facts of the brand that I have, so that if you find a brand and you're not sure if it's the same thing or not, you can check the nutrition facts and see if they match. So that is my spiel on sweet potato flour. I hope you found it interesting and I hope it answered your questions. If it didn't answer all of your questions, please let me know down in the comments and I will do my best to answer you there.